Okay. No, we're good, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Meeting of the Northborough Housing Authority, Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020 at 6 o'clock is going to begin. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. The meeting of the Housing Authority will be conducted by remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. And with that, the meeting will begin. And I'll start with the call meeting to order and with a roll call of everybody that's present. Andy?
Andy Dowd, present.
Ray
Blaine?
Carlson. Oh,
Present.
Ray?
Ray Carlson present.
Okay, and myself, Rita Osborne. Tonight, the first part of the agenda is going to be James Griffin, who is the CPA for the Northborough Housing Authority. And he's here to explain to all of us the 2021 budget. And I know everybody has received a copy of the budget. So if anybody has any questions, once Jim makes his presentation, we'll be able to ask him. Jim, I'm going to introduce you as James Griffin, the CPA. And if you will, would you start with the budget?
Thank you. Again, my name is James Griffin, part of Gordon and Griffin LLC. I am the fee accountant for Northborough Housing Authority. And tonight I'm going to present the fiscal year 2021 budget. So the first page is just the highlights, which hits the bulk of the budget information. Administrative salaries, the executive director's salary has remained the same and consistent with the prior year budget, and also DHCD's executive director's salary template. The administrative clerk has been increased by 3%, which is allowable under DHCD's fiscal year 2021 budget guidelines. The maintenance wages in this budget are effective April 1 of this current year, and as we know, they will be adjusted again on April 1, 2021 by the Department of Labor and Wages, so that'll change. We don't know that until then. The Northborough Housing Authority continues to be a retained revenue housing authority and receive only subsidy from DHCD for the legal pilot program that it maintains in its offices. So therefore, you're not receiving any revenue. Therefore, you're allowed to maintain and keep certain other forms of revenue that other housing authorities can't. And line 4 is just the direct reimbursements for the legal pilot program that you're being reimbursed for. Salaries of $111,000, travel, telephone, supplies, the dues, their share of the workers' comp insurance, and their share of the healthcare and other employee benefits, for a total of $148,000 and some change. Are there any questions or comments on the narrative?
I do.
Yep.
Jim, on the administrative salaries, that got the 3% increase, but yet the executive director's salary is remaining the same. Can you explain to people why she's not getting an increase?
Her salary is locked in by DHCD's executive director's salary template. It's basically a formula-driven schedule, which is derived based on units and the number of programs. It all gets filled into a template and out spits an amount, and that's the amount that Lynn has been given for the last. The template went into effect about, I want to say, 4 or 5 years ago, and it only has been updated once with a small 2.5% increase, which was last year. So basically, Lynn's salary is stuck at whatever the schedule comes out to. The DHCD has derived. We have no say over what she can make any longer.
Now, I understand that. Do you have any idea if there'll be any increases down the road, or is it going to be stayed locked in that place for a long? It seems very unfair when I don't mean you personally, but because she's not getting an increase yet, Nathan's salary, when you look at the budgets, are a lot better than hers. So, and she's the one in charge. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it?
No, unfortunately, the salary schedule, like I said, is in its fifth or fourth year of incarnation, and it went up 2.5% last year when we filled out the schedule, and so technically she's only stuck at the same amount that she made last year. Before that, it went up 2%. So I understand what you're saying. In theory, she's got about a 2.5% raise over the last 4 years.
Right, when everybody
And
else
there's
is getting
nothing-
3% every year.
Right. That's something that Mass Narrow or someone else is trying. I believe Mass Narrow is taking up something against the state on DHCD on that, but I don't know where that lawsuit is, or whether it's still pending. But I know there are lots of unhappy executive directors and board members about the schedule.
No, I know, and it seems to be pending for a long time, but we'll pass on that.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to
No,
call that to
no,
people's
I
attention.
understand. So are there any other questions about the narrative? All right. Well, I won't bore you with the mundane, but the next page is the state's template of how they want the budget filed. It comes to a minus or a loss of $130,000, but our current reserve balances with this budget and with the current year are roughly is estimated to be $700,000 reserves, which are 140% of the max. So even with this large loss, we're still above 100% max. Another reason why we don't get subsidy from the state. Once you're over 100%, you can't have subsidy. So even though the number looks large, I wouldn't be overly concerned. It also has to do with the fact that there's in the betterments and additions of 217,000, the second to third to last line are rollovers from the prior year. There were things that weren't done in last year's budget that Lynn is hoping to get done this year, like the maintenance garage is in there, extension for 200,000. I believe there's a sander, and then sander and emergency generator. So that makes up the 217. So before the $200,000 for the garage and the sander and the generator, the housing authority was still making $87,000. So the housing authority makes a lot of money on its own, even without subsidy. So it's in a very good position.
This is a quick question. On the
Yep.
pilot payment, is that
Yep.
both 705 and 689, or is it just strictly 705?
The schedule you're looking at that says 400 on it is just the 705's portion.
Okay, right.
The next
Okay.
page is the next
I
page is the
see it.
689
Yeah,
budget.
okay. Okay, thanks.
And again, as you're aware, the pilot is half the tax rate
Right,
plus 100.
yeah, plus their formula.
The next page is the Appendix B, which is the subsidy calculation for the state. Again, we don't get our subsidy, but the only thing I'll point out here is within the DHCD's fiscal year 2021 budget guidelines, the allowable non-utility expense level was reduced by 4%. That is the amount of money that the DHCD thinks a housing authority thinks. That's the amount of money DHCD is allowing a housing authority to spend on non-utility related expenses, maintenance, admin, other things like that. So in this case, the housing authority had $540,000 it could spend. It's been dropped to $517. But because you're above the because you're above the maximum reserves of 100% and your retained revenue, these numbers really don't apply. If you just follow the schedule, it falls down to 148,000 that you'll get. But again, that's just the dollar for dollar reimbursement on the legal pilot program that you're operating. The next page is just a salary schedule. As we discussed, Lynn's salary didn't move. The clerk's salary moved by 3%. The maintenance payroll is in here at the April 2020 rate. Again, that'll move. So there's a few dollars here that isn't in the budget that'll move come April 1, 2021. But we have plenty of reserves plus the net profit, so.
Jim, excuse me for a second. On the management of the 2,400, what is that?
Oh, that's the money that Lynn is getting. Or I shouldn't say Lynn. That's the money the Northborough Housing Authority is receiving to manage NEHAC.
The private
The
units.
center.
NAHC units.
Okay, but that's not Housing Authority property.
Correct,
So why is it under her budget? That's my question.
because it's part of her salary.
Well, no, it's not, because it doesn't come
Yes.
from the state.
No, but this salary schedule required by the state requires all sources of money that's paid to the executive director, whether it's federal, state, not funding. It wants to know all of it.
Okay, well, my question would be, I haven't seen it on previous budgets, so I'm just curious why it's on now.
If I believe it was on last year's budget.
I don't remember.
I have last year's budget. Northborough 2020 salaries. Yeah, there was a management column last year in the 2020 budget.
Okay, I didn't see it. I was always under the impression, because that was a separate entity, that really
Yep.
has nothing to do with the budget of the Housing Authority.
It doesn't. The only reason it's here is to reflect Lynn's salary at her amount that ties to the DHCD salary schedule, because that 2,400 is in the salary schedule.
But that's a little unfair, because then that puts her over the process of not being able to get a raise.
I don't understand the question.
Well, if you're adding to her salary that was she's getting from DHCD through the budget, and you're adding another 2,400, that's going to keep her or prevent her from getting any kind of an increase, because it's increasing her amount of salary.
Yes, but it's in the DHCD salary ED schedule as an add-on.
All right, I'm just saying, I just don't agree with it, but I understand what you're saying.
Can I just intervene for 1 second? I do need to ask, because my contract just went in because my 5-year contract was up. So I put in my contract, and DHCD kicked it back because of the $2,400. They just they wrote me an email, and anyway, the long of the short of it is, I had a conversation with somebody from DHCD who told me that I needed to put something in writing to them stating that they were not state units, and that I was receiving separately a management fee for those, because they needed that in writing, because it's not part of my contract. So I don't know. That's the first time they ever did that to me.
Well, that makes sense, because they're not Housing Authority. And it's not part of the state
They
budget.
asked me if I was part of a management agreement, and I said, how other directors are part of management agreements, like they run different housing authorities, and they thought it was part of a management agreement. I said, it's not a management agreement they're not part of my state portfolio, is what I told them. So she said, okay, well, you just need to put something in writing clarifying that, because it looks like you're management, you're under a management agreement. And that's what she said to me. So I don't know.
Makes sense.
So Lynn, let me ask this. So you don't have a contract with the center to receive salary to do that managing?
No, is what it is they pay, like I said, we manage those units. They're separate units. They're not part of they were built by a
It's
separate entity.
affordable housing is what it is.
Yes,
It's not
correct.
public housing.
And they pay a monthly fee to the housing authority of $450 for us to manage them.
Correct.
The board agreed to give me 200 of that 450 as a monthly fee for all of my administrative duties, for paying the bills and all that kind of stuff.
Right, and that's what this 2,400 represents. That the board approved to give you $200 of the management. You don't say you have a management agreement, but in theory you do. You just don't have it written down, probably. Right? The town is asking you to manage those units, correct?
Yes.
And
$1,000.
for your services to manage those units, they're paying you X number of dollars.
Right.
And of a portion of that X number of dollars is going to you because the Northborough Housing Authority said you could have it as an addition to your salary. So
Right.
that's,
No,
yes.
that was not in addition to her salary. That was because it was a different entirely different complex. You're talking affordable housing where the town is paying her to maintain those 3 or 4 units. It had nothing to do with the housing authority. So yes, the board approved her to take it. Technically, though, we really have no authorization to do that because that's not a public housing housing. It's in the public housing, but it's affordable housing. And it's really managed by the town, not by the housing authority. The housing authority doesn't own that property.
It has nothing to do with ownership. You're missing the key fact. You're being given a fee to manage those units, correct?
The housing authority is, yes. Yep.
Yes. Okay, that's the whole I know you say you don't have a management agreement, but that's why the state asked you if you had one in writing. It doesn't matter if they're affordable housing, not affordable housing, any type of low rent, it doesn't matter the units. You have an agreement with the town to I hate to use the word babysit, but to take care of those units, write checks for them, pay the bills for them, whatever it is that you're doing for them, they ask you to do those services. And in return for that service, the housing authority was given $450 or for whatever you said, Lynn, right, each month. And of that money that came in, your board then said that, well, a portion of that money should go to Lynn for her time above and beyond what she does. So that, in essence, however, I understand you may not think of it, but that's a management agreement. It's just not written as one.
Yeah. So it doesn't
And-
matter that they're not state. It doesn't matter to DHCD that
Right.
they're not state. That they're
Sure, in
not
fact-
part of my housing authority portfolio.
Right, but if you open up your DHCD filing, there's a tab that says other units. And in that other units, Howie, a few years ago or whenever, you took them, lists 4 other units.
Yep.
And that's how DHCD wants it done. That's how other people I have other housing authorities that have like 500 other units that they're managing for other people, and they got management agreements left and right. And the executive director is getting additional salary above and beyond their salary. So if you pull your templated ED salary schedule and look at it, it generates a salary. And then towards the bottom, it says management agreements or other agreements or other sources of funds. And in there is the 2,400. That's how your salary goes from the DHCD amount, which is the amount charged to the state, and then an additional 2,400 that's coming in from a third-party source, non-federal, non-state, that's adding to your salary. So next year, if they do a 2.5% bump on the ED salary schedule, you'll get the 2.5% bump because the 2,400 is below the ED calculation for your salary.
No,
This is just a straight
I
add-on.
understand that about the salary. I guess I didn't really, until Rita just brought it up, I hadn't even discussed anything about my contract because they just got in touch with me. I guess it's just interesting because DHCD has nothing to do with
Right.
anything to do with these units as far as like, we don't
Right.
submit any of the financials. They don't have anything to do with the capital improvements. They don't have a single thing to do with those other units.
Correct.
except to know that I
Right.
collect a fee for them. They don't have
Right.
any skin in the game whatsoever, I guess is.
No, but they want to see a
No, you're
copy of that. They want to see a copy of that agreement, Lynn, because they think they have a right to it. That's what I'm saying to you.
But they
They
have a
don't
right,
mind
why? Why? Why would they have a right to something they're not even funding? So why do they?
I have no
that
idea.
right?
You'd have to take that up with DHCD. They think they have rights to everything.
No, I understand that. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
no.
logically.
No. And I'm not trying.
How do you-
and Rita,
How do
I'm
you
not trying
explain
to.
something that they're not even getting involved in, except, that it's down there, so they're questioning it.
Right, they're questioning, what they're doing is they want to have something in their files that state the salary schedule comes to say $70,000 for Lynn, but yet we're paying her $72,400. And the reason is because you have I know you don't have a written one in terms, and you don't the term, but in theory, you have a management agreement with the town of Northborough to take care of those units. And you're getting X number of dollars to do that. And then the Housing Authority of Northborough Board said, well, of that money we're getting to manage those units, we're going to personally give some to Lynn as a salary. And that's what they want to see. They want to see the agreement, and then they want to know that the agreement, what they want to see is that there's money coming in from some agreement to pay this $2,400, and it's not really coming off a state program. That's why they want a copy of some kind of management agreement or some letter or something that says that the town is giving the housing authority X number of dollars to take care of these units, and Lynn's getting the money from that. That's why they want a copy of some piece of paper or something in writing. They do it to all housing authorities who are getting funding outside the state or the Fed, and then turning around and giving a portion of that money to their EDs. They do it to everybody.
No, I understand that. I'm just thinking it's unfair to add it to her salary because it makes it look higher than it really is. Because they do not, the 2,400 is not coming from the state. I understand what you're saying, and I'm gonna let it go, but I'm just letting you know that personally, I just think it's a little unfair. But be it what it may, we can move on.
Okay. The next schedule is the schedule of administrative expenses. Just what we expect to spend on travel, everyday operating expenses, accounting, postage, computer expenses, the auditing fee to do your AUP.
Did that go
Questions?
down? Did
The
that
what?
fee
I'm
go
sorry.
down? The auditing fee, did that go down?
No, it's the same.
Uh,
Oh, it's the same? I thought it was a little higher.
It went, no, it's the same amount from last year.
Okay.
The next schedule is your schedule of insurance and employee benefits. Here are costs that we can't control, unfortunately. The current rate for the property insurance is $175 a unit. That's up almost 25–30% from last year. Health insurance, and then your retirement bill. Your retirement bill is up about $5,000 from last year, and the health insurance is up about $6,000 or $7,000.
A lot of money.
And unfortunately, these are costs that we can't control.
Right.
The next schedule is just the way DHCD wants the utilities filed with them based on consumption and cost. The only note here is that you have your net metering credit that you're receiving, so you're actually earning the savings on your electric bill. The next schedule is a schedule of contracts: plumbing, electrical, alarm, snow removal. These costs are about 6%, 7% higher than last year. And they're based on current spending patterns. Any questions?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay. This next one is the unfortunate one that's going down instead of up. The schedule of revenues, your actual 667 program is a few bucks less than last year. Just must be the mix up, the current mix up. What's the word I'm looking for? Not mix up. Current tenant, the number of tenants you have and what their income is. The 705 is slightly up. That's a good sign considering the current health crisis. We'll see where that holds up. And then your other fees. And there again is that in the third column where it says non-DR, that is the, I forget what that is. I don't know what that is. That's the same amount as last year. That is the fee that you're receiving for the units. The other half of the fee.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the 250 or the 450 you're getting, correct. And then the last schedule is your
Excuse
schedule
me, you said
non-routine.
250 or you mean 200?
She's
Okay.
Lynn's. You're getting 450. 200 is going to Lynn, and 250 goes to the program.
Oh, I thought you said 250. Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then the last schedule is your non-routine. These are, again, a lot of these are repeats from last year because Lynn didn't get to do some of them due to the COVID-19 situation. So we just rolled them into this year's budget. The cycle painting, the tree removal, the cycle for the floor, the cycle flooring. Painting is about the same. The tree's up a little, and then the flooring is new. And then the maintenance garage extension is the same as last year, and then we already discussed the generator and sander.
Yeah, that stuff under that I put on the top is, I just estimate for unit turnovers. Cycle painting, changing floors, and then, we seem to have a lot of trees coming down lately, so I've been putting some tree money in.
Yeah,
I
that's.
know.
Yeah, I've been like cutting down more trees than I care to talk about, but, yeah, and like you said, the maintenance garage, that's the portion that we're using out of our budget. So hopefully that's gonna get going this year. The emergency generator is for Heritage Village.
So again, as I stated, reserves are expected to be about $700,000 at the end of fiscal year 2021, which is 140% of maximum. DHCD only requires that you have 500,000, you're gonna have close to 700,000.
Right. Good question, Jim. On the pilot attorney, who determines the increases in that? DHCD?
I just, from what Howie's told me in the past, the salary again was 3% as allowed by the guidelines.
So they
And then
get
the
the
rest of the-
3%?
Yeah,
she-
sorry about
Jennifer
that. I
gets-
thought I mentioned that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no,
I told
I
you
get
to look at me.
3%.
Okay,
Yeah. And then the travel and the telephone, all that are up maybe a couple percentage here and there. But
yeah,
yeah, in essence, as long as DHCD, as long as you don't really inflate it every year, they don't say much. They're just gonna, I think it's, compared to last year, it is, in total, it is, where is the appendix? I apologize. It is 148, 897, 145, 560. It's up $4,000 from last year.
yeah. It's just a little unfair, I know I'm repeating myself, that everybody gets an increase but the person in charge.
I hear you, and I agree wholeheartedly, and I have EDs that feel
As
the
a
same
former
way as you
director,
do,
believe
and
me,
board
that's-
members,
Yeah, I know.
but the salary schedule is what's out, and I think Lynn has it, right? Lynn, didn't I send you a copy?
I
Yeah,
have a
Or
copy
not.
of it. I know
It's
what
been
it
the
is.
same for a couple
Right.
of years.
Yeah.
Right, and unless
I
something
know.
goes with the Mass Narrow thing, I don't know if it's ever gonna change.
I don't think so.
Can I just ask one question when, and again, because it's kind of a different, new to me. So when directors take admin money for projects, as we're entitled to, which I've never taken much of, when that comes out on the salary schedule at the end of the year, how do they account for that? That's just extra? Do they ever say anything?
You mean in the top five? You mean Lynn, the top
Yeah,
five
because
for?
that shows on the top
Right.
5, so.
Right.
Other, it's supposed to be reported, and I'm not sure if we're doing it for you, you're doing it for you, but any payments above and beyond your salary, like
Yeah.
the 2,400 would go in your salary because it's going to tie to your salary schedule, and that's why it's there, and that'll be fine for the top 5. But if you were to take $1,000 or $2,000 add-on to your salary out of the mod money,
Yeah.
there's the column that says other compensation. It's supposed to be put in there.
Right, so obviously I
way-
would tell you, but does DHCD ever say anything? Because obviously when you take that money, you go above your salary schedule.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying to you, Lynn, if you look at it, there's a base salary piece of the top 5 form, then there's an overtime, and then
Right,
there's
and
other
then there's other.
compensation. If you put I will put it in other compensation for those executive directors who do this, or like some of them get a car per diem, or some of them get I'm trying to think of other things that go in there. Like if you were to I have a couple housing authorities this year that they paid vacation time out to employees because they couldn't take them because of the COVID-19.
Yeah,
So in theory, they're getting paid like 54 weeks. Those 2 weeks of vacation they're getting paid are going to go in that column called other compensation. So that
Okay,
way,
so
when
that,
DHC looks at the salary schedule and say it rolls over at 60,000 and the budget's 55, as long as that other compensation is between $4 or $5 grand, they won't care. They might ask you what that other compensation is, but when they look at your base salary and they'll see that it's the same as budgeted, it'll be the other comp, and they'll say, well, what's in the other comp? And if you look at the description up above in the top 5, it talks about like cell reimbursements for a cell phone or car or vacation time. It has a whole bunch there. And if they feel uncomfortable about the amount, they'll email you or they'll ask you what that is.
okay,
And when you talk about the mod money, technically it's only for part-time executive directors. Full-time executive directors are not eligible for that money.
No, but
Right.
she is.
So, right, no,
Let
no,
me
I'm not
just-
saying she's not, but I'm just saying that when a part-time person, when a part-time ED has their top 5 up there, it's very often you'll see other things and other compensation, unlike a full-time ED, yes. And DHC is aware of that.
Jim, why isn't then the money that she's earning from the town become other rather than part of her salary when you're doing your
Because
compensation?
it's in the calculation of her salary. So they already account for it as part of base salary. If it wasn't in her base salary and was above and beyond that, I would put it in that thing. But
All right.
because when,
We'll discuss it later.
in HAFIS,
I know.
when you file her salary, the 2,400 is in a column.
I know.
They see it. They know it's there.
Oh, I know. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions at all about the budgets? Did a good job considering Howie's not
I
here
was
to help
saying
you.
Karen's travel should probably go way down because she hasn't gone anywhere next year since COVID, you know.
I know.
I kind
As much
of
as-
budgeted a lot of people's budgets next year based on 19 and not 20, hoping that things will go back to normal. Lynn, just to let you know.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand that the beginning of the year might still be tight, but I'm kind of hoping that by May, June, July, or August,
yeah, that
you
people
know, her
will be back
travel will,
doing,
right. So I'd rather put the
Yeah.
extra in. The worst comes to worst, you got a little too much than not enough, especially with travel.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah, because she generally has a lot of travel, you know, a lot of travel expenses.
I'll call you back.
All right. Anybody have any other questions for James?
I want to beat him up some more.
That's fine. I actually
Yeah,
appreciate it.
James, Howie used to love to get beat up by Rita.
I know.
So this
Well,
is
I
the
just
first-
Tell him that tell him I haven't changed. I'm still doing the same thing.
No, can I go on record that, Rita, don't take this the wrong way, but I've only heard about you.
I know.
Only, I mean, I've been in the
Many have.
business, I've been in the business 20 years, auditing for 10 and now fee accounting for 10. But from when I was, you were an executive director at other places that I now either audited or managed. I'm assuming that is correct.
Right.
And I've
both.
heard the name, but I've never
Been
actually
around a
seen the
while.
person till now. So,
Well, I don't want anybody to think that we're not paying attention, really. But thank you very, very much. Nobody has any other questions with that? Yeah, we're gonna let you go.
okay, Lynn, if you have any other questions, let me know. Again, make sure you just send the certifications off and the board approves each of them and you should be good to go.
All right.
Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Great.
All
Thank you,
right,
Jim.
thank you.
Everyone
Thanks a
have a
lot.
nice holiday.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, you too, James, thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is.
We have to vote on the budgets, Rita.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right, too. You do. We need a motion to approve the budget so it can be submitted to DHCD.
So moved.
Who said
Seconded.
that?
Ray,
I
Oh,
said that.
Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. Andy, did you second it?
I did.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
You have to say your name,
Elaine, aye.
right?
Oh, Ray Carlson, aye.
Andy?
And yeah, aye.
Peter Osborne, aye. Unanimous approval of the budget.
so I know that because it's virtual, normally everybody's signature has to go on there, but because of the whole signature thing, they're just requiring that I do an extract with the budget certifications, but I am gonna, I know I sent you the budget, but I don't think I sent you the certifications. So after,
I have them.
did I send the certifications or just the
Yeah.
I
budget?
have them.
You did, yeah.
I
They were
did,
attached to
okay.
mine, Yep.
Okay.
All right, so just so you guys know exactly what what you're approving, because normally everybody has to put their John Hancock on them, but because it's virtual, they're not requiring it, so I would just do the extra. Send them in as such, okay. Good enough, I wasn't sure I sent the extracts.
You don't need any other approvals on that, just that will cover for all of the budget.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The next order of business would be the review and approval of the minutes of the last board meeting. And I know Lynn sent those out. Does anybody have any questions on the board, on the minutes that she had sent out for the meeting for October 7th?
I have a question.
Okay,
On page 2, or no, sorry, page 3, at the top of the page, the bullet, it says fiscal year, this is about the audit. Audit for fiscal year end December 3, 2019. Is that right?
Yeah, because it's last year's.
right, last year's.
December 3, though?
Oh, December 31st, it should be.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good job.
You're good. You're very observant.
I read that 100 times. I never thought of 31. That's good. Any other questions? If not, I will take a motion to approve the minutes.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor, please say your names as you say
Ray
your.
Carlson, aye.
Elaine Solomon, aye.
Andy Dowd, aye.
Peter Osborne, aye. Motion carries. Vote is unanimous. Okay, Lynn. Your report.
Do my report and then the capital improvements, 'cause it's kind of all the same thing. So I have one vacant unit right now, a 3-bedroom over on Crestwood Drive. I had a 4-bedroom, just filled that one. 3-bedroom I'm still working on because I think I had mentioned that I did 2 separate pull lists prior to this of 25 people each, and I couldn't get anybody that was qualified. And so this time I did a list of 100, and you can't believe all the packets that I got back. So I am really, I'm making my way through these packets of, the first 80 people are emergencies. So
Wow.
it's just, I'm doing the best I can, but the documentation to go through for the emergencies. So that unit is empty right now. I'm hoping to get it squared away pretty soon and make an offer on it. I didn't have an office assistant here for 2 weeks, so I was trying to kind of run the show, being the admin and the ED. So I just had to do what I could do the past couple of weeks to kind of keep my head above water. Security cameras are all in place. I have they were running at Heritage Village and Rutland Road. I actually have the remote on my computer, which is really good. I can go in and see the cameras. So I think they're going to be really beneficial, which is good. Speaking of the CHAMP, Mass Narrow just started this working group. I had went on to a Zoom conference not too long ago where they actually have a group that, and from what I understand, it's of no charge. They're actually going to start helping people with they have a group of people that, because what's going on now is when people send in these screening packets, they're suggesting that, so because people apply to different places and they return a supplemental application and proof of address, they want us to upload their documents into the system so that other housing authorities can look at them and have them in there. So they're going to have this group that's going to assist with, they don't have anything to do with making the decisions, but they will help you with the list pulls, and they're going to have the documentation sent back to this group at Mass Narrow, who will upload it into the computer so that we can view it easier, instead of, because every time somebody sends something back, we have to go in to see if it's in the computer, and it's a little it's a little disorganized and it's a lot of work. So they're bringing in this working group, so I'm gonna give it a try. To assist with that, with the paper. They actually will send out your screening packets and then take the screening packets back, put the stuff in the system so that then I can go in and look at everything without having to do all that paperwork that's required. So I haven't used it yet, but I am going to give it a whirl. Especially with the family units. The elderly are not quite as difficult, but the families are just, it's a lot. So I figured that might be a good thing to take advantage of. I think I mentioned before that the state was giving us COVID money for to do anything related to COVID that we felt would be beneficial. So I did order new furniture for this community room. I was going to get it anyway. I just had the room painted and we're waiting to have plank flooring installed. I got a couple of quotes. I'm ripping up the carpet, putting in plank flooring. So hopefully that's going to be done soon. I did zero in on one particular quote. I did it in my cell phone office. Came out really nice, much cleaner. And I'm hoping to do the same thing over at Heritage Village after I do Colonial. And then I also, because they gave me a good amount of money and there's only so much I can do with it, I opted to give each of my maintenance people some hazard money. Given the fact that they worked through the whole pandemic, they had to go into units and all that kind of stuff. I gave each of my maintenance people just this past week a check for $1,000 each. And I gave my administrative assistant $500. Again, I take any of it. They won't let me. But, there was a good amount of money that I can't use. So I can't always ever do anything for them. So I figured if, this was something that I could do and was part of
Nice Christmas bonus.
what they said was okay. And I felt like they deserved it. They have had to go in and out this entire pandemic. So that's what I'm doing on with I'm still going to look into maybe some kind of an air filter system for the office, a couple of other things. I think it's supposed to be spent by December 31st. So hopefully I'll do a couple more things with the money. So
That's really nice, Lynn. That was very nice, really. I hope your maintenance appreciates it.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they did. So I think it was a good thing. I think they deserved it. So that was that. As far as capital projects go, I have we did get the bids for the front entry modernization project here at Colonial Village. We're going to be doing, I think I told you, the front of all the buildings with the paling paint and new windows. The project was estimated, I think, at $211,000, and we did get the lowest bid in at $2,008,605. Contractor has been checked out who want to award the contract.
I'm sorry, how much was it? 2,000 what?
2008-605
Oh,
is what it came in at, and it was estimated at 211. The name of the contractor is Cornerstone. They are out of some Cornerstone building services, and they are out of, let's see where they are, Holyoke, Mass. So 208,625. So I do need a vote to approve them as the lowest bidder on this project per approval of DHCD.
Okay, we'll take a motion to accept the lowest bidder.
Elaine, so moved.
Okay, Elaine,
Second,
second Ray. Any questions? All in favor?
aye.
Elaine, aye.
Elaine,
Aye.
aye. Ray,
Aye.
Andy,
He's muted.
you're muted.
I really said aye, Andy Down. Thank you.
Aye. All in favor, the motion carries.
And then the other, we had talked about, in 96 Northgate, the kitchen improvements. So they approached this contractor. I told you it was supposed to be done several months ago. It all got changed because of COVID, and now he doesn't want to do the job anymore. So they went on to the second lowest bidder. So the first bid was $20,000 for this kitchen, and this second lowest bidder is $25,800. So they now have to move on to the second lowest bidder, by the name of Zander Corporation. The project was estimated. The project had originally been estimated at 22,000. So this first company came in at 20, and this second one was 25,800. Their name is Zander Corporation, and they're out of Middleborough, Mass. So I now need to get another low bid approval for the new contractor because the first one
Okay,
is.
so we need a board vote. I'll accept a motion to vote for Vanda Corporation for 25,800.
So moved.
Ray,
Second, Elaine.
second Elaine. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Elaine, aye.
Ray, aye.
Andy, aye.
Ada, aye. Motion carries, motion unanimous.
So I think that's pretty much, that's it. I think that's pretty much what's going on around here for now. Just, I guess, one thing I probably, when James had mentioned it, the vacation time, for people, our personnel policy reads that nobody other than me, I'm allowed to carry 10 days, but nobody else can carry vacation time. And I kind of stress that to people, my employees, all through the COVID. I was just like, look, just because, we all worked, take your time, because, I can't guarantee that you're going to be able. So everybody did, except for my admin, which kind of happens anyway. A lot of times she sort of takes all her vacation time at the end of the year, but I guess, I don't know if, do you think that I should make an exception this year to see if somebody can't carry it, that she can't carry a little bit, because she still has quite a bit of vacation time that she hasn't used, and I don't.
You're talking about your admin, Lynn, or are you talking about maintenance? I'm confused here.
My admin, my maintenance,
Okay.
maintenance pretty much took their time.
Okay.
They're all set, but there's a few of us in here that have a good amount of vacation time because we've worked here a long time, and my admin did not take all of her vacation time, so I don't think she's going to be able to use it before the end of the year.
So is there a negative for allowing her to carry over some time this year because of, everything that's
I don't
happened?
know. I guess if we voted on it, because the personnel policy states
Very
that
specific.
it's use it or lose it. So I
Okay.
mean, obviously nobody expected COVID. A lot of times, when there's a couple of days that I've had with people, 1, 2, maybe 3, I say to them, look, just use it beginning of January, and I'll count it for December. So But, I've never carried anybody with a couple of weeks, which is,
Oh, wow, 2 weeks?
Oh,
Oh, no, no. I personally know. That's very specific. Plus, does she know even if she left, you will not get that time?
yeah, I mean, they've
And
told
you either use it or lose it.
that I,
Simple as
that I,
that.
and I've asked a few times about, paying it out, and I've been told no, that you can't pay it out.
Oh, you can't pay it out.
No, so, I don't know. I think, I think as opposed to it just coming from me, should I allow her? I mean, I think maybe some input from you guys as to what you think is, can she carry a few days? Should I tell her to use it? Because she's probably going to have 2 weeks at the end of the year that she didn't use.
And then how many weeks does she get normally?
5.
Wow,
Wow.
that'll be 7 weeks. That's a
Until-
long
I
time
don't think
to
so.
be out of the office. That's really a long time to be out of the office. And it's not like you want to be a bad guy, but in all fairness, if the maintenance used it, I don't understand why she didn't use it. She certainly has had plenty of time to use it. So I don't know. I think you should stay with the policy. But I don't know how anybody else feels. Anybody else have any other thoughts on it?
I'm a bit of a softie. And I always feel badly when things like that happen. I don't think I'd give her 2 weeks. I think that's crazy. But just out of the goodness of your heart, if you would, or you can, the board approved, I don't know, 3-4 days, something like that, just because it's been such a crazy year. But I wouldn't go beyond that. But again, I'm a softie, so.
Mhm.
Oh, that's fair. But I agree with you. But I really believe that because it's so specific and it's not like this is a new policy, this has been established for a while. They know that they either use it or lose it. And it's not just here. Most companies are very specific about their vacation time. You either take it or you don't. And that's really up to the person. But for me, I think, the policy says use it or lose it. She's still got what? How many weeks? 4 weeks, well, not quite 4 weeks left. So
Right.
she could, but that means then you'd be without anybody for the month of December. So I don't know. Ray, how do you feel?
Lynn, was there so much work that she felt she had to stay, and because COVID created sort of a different work environment, she felt she needed to stay to assist you, that she didn't take her vacation?
No, I don't think so.
She just didn't take it. And
Probably because she couldn't go anywhere.
has this come up before, that it's been close to year end and she hasn't taken all her vacation? Yeah, 5 weeks is a lot. I know. It's tough
Yeah,
sometimes to
it's a
take
lot.
5 weeks.
A lot of time. Andy, how about you? How do you feel?
It can relate to the problem on the other end because I'm a longtime town employee and have lots of time that I can never use. It's not a bad problem to have, but it is a shame when you earn a benefit and you lose it. Then again, she had or the person had some control over that. But I think a reasonable compromise, because of COVID, things are very different this year. I know the town made some slight adjustments to our carryover policy because of COVID. And I would say to let her carry over 1 week would be a reasonable thing, in my opinion.
Maybe she could take a week and let her carry over a week.
Or
And
maybe
then
she could
if
take
she
a
does
few
it-
weeks now. Take a few weeks, another week or two.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a lot of difference,
Yeah.
really.
We're kind of talking about the calendar, but I mean, even like I said, when I went today, we went through it. I'm taking some days, she's taking some days, and she still has 2 weeks. That's why she needs to take more days this month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess, I'm okay with maybe saying, and, you can carry 5 days, but they have to be, I'm going to say, to me, maybe she needs to use them in the month of January.
Yes.
Yeah, and then be done
I
with
think
it.
what Andy said is fine. I think giving her that 1 week and have a restriction of using it within the month of January, or she definitely loses
Then
it.
she's going to have
Then it's
another
her option.
5 weeks to use.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Tends to never really to take, she tends to take just days more than.
Yeah. I think that's fair, though. I
Okay.
think that's a pretty good compromise, really. You know,
Okay,
and use it within that certain time.
okay, that sounds reasonable.
Does that require a board vote or is
I was
that?
just going to, thank you, Elaine. I was just going to say that. I think we should do a board
Yeah,
vote because it is a
probably good
personnel
to have it.
policy. So someone want to make that motion?
Okay, I could do it, I guess. All right, Elaine, and I move that we allow the admin to carry over 5 days that must be used in the month of January 2021.
Second.
Second, Ray.
Okay, that's perfect.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Elaine, aye.
Ray, aye.
Andy, I.
Rita, aye. All in favor, unanimous? Motion carries. So she'll take 5 days, but she has to use it in January.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think that's pretty fair. That gives her
I do too.
I hate to see her lose it. I do agree with Andy, but again, it does say use it or lose it. So I don't know.
I keep saying I'm done, but I was also just thinking too about what I have to put in writing for DHCD about my managing the units. I don't really have a management agreement, but
Lynn, do you want a letter from NAHC? Do you want Rick to draft a letter?
That might be a very good idea.
Do you want something in writing about managing the units, or you just want a letter that will specifically go along with what you need to submit for now, or what would you like?
I guess, I can put something in writing, but I suppose,
I think it should come from Rick.
yeah, maybe a letter just saying that, you're the NAHC, pays a management fee to the Northborough Housing Authority, monthly management fee of $450 to manage these units that you guys own, the Housing Authority, doesn't own.
Right.
So maybe that
Yeah.
part, basically, I don't know how much detail it has to have, but we own the land, you own the building, and we manage them. So just so they know that they're not part of the state portfolio.
All right.
Um,
Do you want me to talk to him and have him do that for you?
Yeah, if you don't mind, maybe
Yep.
that would, you think that it should come from Rick?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I think that's an awesome suggestion, Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rick or me. I mean, either one. I mean, what?
Yeah, either
Rick's
one.
the
Oh, well, then-
treasurer.
Maybe
Rick-
you could do
Oh,
it then, Ray.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't mind, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, because I'm on NHA board, I didn't know if that would be a
Yeah.
little bit odd. So I thought maybe it might be better if Rick did it, because then we have.
You
two
know what?
separate-
That might be a good idea. Then it doesn't open up any type of small conflict of any kind.
Yeah.
If Rick's
Yeah,
name is
I
there,
mean,
maybe
even
not
if
yours.
you feel like you would draft it and send it to him,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him.
if he's around, whatever's easier, and then I can just put that, the board voted to give
Right.
me $200 on $450 to manage the units, and leave it at that. Okay, we'll do it that way. That's the
Okay.
first time they ever asked me that, so. Okay.
All right. Anything else, Lynn, or you're all set?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have the approval of the payment of the bills. Did everybody get a copy of them, Lynn? The payment
Yeah,
of the
I
bills?
ended up, I sent the bills for December, and then I sent the bills for November because we didn't meet last month.
Right.
And it should be on record to approve both months' bills, so that
Okay.
everybody looked at them and.
Lynn, in the December group, what's the Hayes Company?
That's the property insurance.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, our property. Never get to collect on, we just have to pay on it every year.
Okay. I thought that's what it was, but I couldn't remember. Okay, thank you.
Big bill.
Jimmy and Sons, Lynn?
What's that?
Jimmy and Sons?
That's the painter that painted the community.
Can we combine the vote to say November and December and give the total? instead of doing them separately, or how do you want it done?
Yeah,
think
that's
you can
fine.
combine
I'll just say checks number such and such through such and such. I mean,
All
I can add them up if you just guys want to,
I think you can combine them.
yeah, for November and December.
Right. We need to have a motion to accept the check summary report for November and December in the amount of $93,456.27. We need a motion.
So moved, Andy.
Andy? Need a second?
Elaine, second.
Lane, second. Any other questions? If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Elaine, I.
Ray, aye.
Andy, I.
Rita, aye. Motion carries. Votes unanimous. That was November and December.
Mhm.
Okay. And lastly, any other business to come before the board? If I don't hear any other business coming before the board, then I will accept.
What's the date? What's the date for January? Gonna take a look at this.
Going to be January 6th.
Okay, so that's, it doesn't interfere with New Year's or anything. We'll be,
What are you going to do anyhow with COVID? You can't, nothing's open, you can't go anywhere.
I
Except,
know,
you know,
I sometimes
Wave
just,
to everybody. Really.
so January 6th, I think.
Right.
Okay,
All right, everybody. I need a motion for an adjournment.
And I will so move.
Elaine made the motion. Okay. Did I hear you say second, Ray?
Second.
5.
That's what I thought. Any other questions before we close? If not, I'll take a vote. All in favor?
Elaine, I.
Ray, aye.
Andy, I.
Rita, aye. Motion carries.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
Good to go.
Before we go to everybody, a very happy holidays. I know it's a little different than what we used to. And
Yeah.
also, most importantly, hopefully, a very good and prosperous, safe new year.
Hey, from your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
Oh,
You.
I know. But anyhow, thank you all. Meeting is
Thank
now
you,
over.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Right. See you
Bye-bye.
next year.
Yeah.